This issue of faith and business is so critical to take us further in the plans and purposes of God, because sometimes we tend to separate business from faith, and we think that the two never cross paths. But in actual fact, the two are together, just like a hand and a glove. They work together, and I believe that we will accomplish more as we share our experiences and we share what the Spirit of God is giving to each and every one of us.
Welcome, everyone. This is the Reverend CEO, aka Cynthia Pettion, wife, mother, business coach, mentor, and evangelist. And I want to thank you for joining us today. Welcome to another episode of Faith in Business. And in today's segment, we are going to be talking about the act or the gift of discernment, which can be used in several different aspects. It's very large in Christianity. When you hear about discernment, it's often referred to as a gift of discernment, where you're able to perceive things a little more in depth than what a normal person, quote unquote, would be able to see, understand, or have the ability to do. It's also referenced also in terms of in discernment, what we feel our role here in life is and what God's plan is for us. But the ability to obtain sharp perceptions or to judge well, sometimes confused a lot with being judgmental. Discernment, more so than being judgmental, plays an amazing role in who we are, what we do, and how successful we become. Because if you're not able to make decisions, and if you're not able to judge things correctly, you're likely to continue to fall into certain pitfalls. And we also want to be careful about losing the ability of being discerning for fear that we're being too judgmental.
Discernment is having an ability to have good judgment about things, and not necessarily be able to judge people, but you can judge behavior, you can judge thoughts, you can judge things and information that comes to you, but you are not necessarily judgmental about people. I can actually tell a person, I cannot do business with you because of 1, 2, 3 things that I sense could go wrong, with which are consistent. There is a thin line between, of course, separating a person from what they do, but I believe that with discernment, it's an ability to take information, look at it, and see beyond just the way it appears before you. And you see things that are not so apparent, and be able to use those to make judgments or decisions.
With discernment also comes action, because you can have all these things in place, but you also have to take action when doing that. Also, it plays a big part in that. And first of all, I tell my, you lead from your heart, you lead what the Lord is telling you what to do, because I believe so strongly that He's not going to give you something to put you in front of something that you cannot handle. So these are the steps, and I lay them down, but these are my personal things in whether or not I'm going to make a decision. But once you have them, you actually have to take action. Now you just can't sit on the sidelines.
The discerning is a work, what we do, first of all, in our mind. It's like a theory analysis, what we do in our mind. And then this analysis normally is influenced by experiences in the past, or how we see the forest instead to see only the tree. Most of the people, they judge or they try to discern things using only the tree and not seeing what is in the forest. The big problem, or the thin line between judgment and discerning, is that special thing when from where I'm trying to analyze what we are trying to understand in what way I have to decide which is correct or which is not correct. It's very, very thin line where you can pass from discerning to judgment. I think that's a little bit dangerous,
It's a very thin line. It's such a it's such it's when you're writing that line between trying to figure out, okay, am I being judgmental? Am I being too subjective about something? And whether or not you're actually paying attention to minor details. Being discerning can be something as minor as, listening to somebody sing and you can pick up a chord that maybe somebody else can't. But it is something that I think some people might be more inclined or natural, do more naturally. Do you guys think that discernment is something that can be learned? Can we train people to be more discerning?
Sure. I believe it. Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, they have to learn because God says if you need wisdom, ask to God, and then if you ask to God to give you wisdom, that means you can learn.
Yes, you can, because just the word itself, when you set it out, I'm like, that's a good one. Now you have to learn what it is, but does it mean? So yes, you can learn it, and I've learned.
Personally, I think there are two discernments that we can talk about. There is a gift of discernment, where somebody has got, a clear God-given ability to read beyond what we see. But I also believe that each and every one of us can have discernment. That may not necessarily be that apparent gift, like a gift of prophecy, a gift that that is apparent. But we all can learn to discern. Like Boris said, you learn from your experiences, sort of like focused decisions to say, if things are flowing this way, chances are very high to end like this or like this, based on experiences and also based from what you've learned.
You hit the nail on the head when you said one particular thing just there. And that is taking the knowledge and experience of other people as well and combining it in order to be able to bring it almost to like a higher level, because everybody has their own gifts, their own thing that they're good at. People like to equate, people being smart with IQ intelligence, right? Being analytical, mathematical, how well you speak, what schools did you go to? But there's such thing that we call here also, street knowledge, right? Or things that you have to experience. I've always been of the belief that I can't learn through other people's mistakes or experiences. I've always said, you know what? I can't look at somebody make a mistake and then that becomes now my learning experience. But I've kind of grown to think differently now. You can watch somebody make a mistake over and over again and start to think to yourself, well, maybe that's something I shouldn't be doing because it's not working for you. But again, it requires a certain sense of discernment, because you need to understand, well, what is it about what it is that you're doing that's causing you to fail? Is it the act itself, or is there something else going on that's not causing it to jive? Which is the reason why when people tell me, you've done this business before, it doesn't work. You've done this business before, it doesn't work. Why do you keep doing it? Or you told me about this one, it didn't work, so the next one's not going to work. That is not discernment. That is putting stuff into a big boiling pot, mixing it all together and saying it's all the same. I think people can learn to differentiate what worked in one and what worked in another. What is it about the concept that's not making it work for you? So that you can learn to find the right business or the right opportunity so that it does work.
You touch a very important issue when you said a lot of people can tell you why you continue doing something which is not working. And the thing is, normally the people that are judging, in that case, are judging your acts, but they are not judging what you have in your mind. What is your purpose to do this business to work? There's people a lot just seeing your actions, your whatever you are trying to do to make successful in something which they don't know exactly what are your intentions. When you work discerning, you work your intentions, your experience in the past, and then you value which is good or not, and you see a little light where away from you, and then you said, I think this is the way, and then how to get there. I told before, I said, if you, the verse in James 1:5 says, if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask God, who gives you generously to all without reproach.
our primary focus is purpose. Yes, the reason why I'm saying this is, suppose I'm in a business, and I want to expand my business, and I believe God has given me this idea, and I believe God wants me to expand it. Then I meet person X, and person X says to me, I want to join you. I can help you take this business to a new level altogether. I sit back and I ask myself, is this the right person to do business with? I then begin to go back to purpose and go back to God. And I can actually, at that point, God can tell me that no. Because when it comes to these things, it's not about the appearance. You spoke about the issue of the heart, what's driving it. You cannot do this discernment outside the purpose giver, the one who gave the purpose for that which you are doing, who is God. And then you let it pass, and you can have people telling you you've missed an opportunity of a lifetime. But in actual fact, because you are linked up with God and lined up with God and in line with your purpose, the right time and at the right place, the appropriate partnership comes up and it blows you off. And you can actually see that it's not about me here, it's about the one who's driving this purpose.
What do you guys look for when somebody comes to you with an opportunity? What is it that drives you to trust somebody, not trust somebody, to think it's a good opportunity or know that it's a bad one? What resonates with you? What's sending the sirens off when you hear and see these different opportunities?
There's a lot of people coming to us now, or coming to me, I should say, because of the way that things are going right now in life in general, meaning cryptocurrency, Forex, trading, it's a buzz in everybody's ears. And a lot of people are using that to prey on those that are not knowledgeable, those that do not think before they leap, that get into certain things because of their circumstances. And I tell them, don't let your judgment be because of your circumstance, because you didn't get into this overnight, and you're not going to get out of it overnight. So there's a lot of things, like, for instance, I look at it, for instance, like, for one, do you have, what criteria does it take to actually make the money? And do they guarantee you? When somebody tells you I can guarantee you, that's a big stop sign right there. Let's hope, let's retract, let's think about it. If they was to shut the doors and don't let nobody else in, will they still be able to obtain and make money? That's a thing that I look for. If they can't say yes, then they're not really investing your money.
I'm gonna give you just one thing. Whoever helps you to be close to God and make His will, and then that's gonna be the best. Every time I take some opportunities in my life, I ask, if this helping me to be a servant of God, to be more Christian, to elevate my feeling about God, my spiritual life, is this business helping me to be more servant of God and be more close to Him, I'm gonna do it. You have to be very, very discerning what God wants for you. If this is a continue helping you to be doing God's will, and then helping your family being more Christian and be more spiritual, I think you are in the good right path.
This is very exciting. If you know your purpose, every tool that is coming to you must be driving you and helping you to address your purpose. So sometimes it's important that you separate your purpose from your circumstances to make permanent decisions based on temporary situations, and that usually is a cocktail for disaster. Purpose goes beyond your circumstances. Situations can change, but purpose will always be consistent. If circumstances were to change today, would you still make the same decision?
That is an excellent point. Take yourself out of your current situation. If everything was quote unquote perfect, the way you want it, you have as much money as you need to feel comfortable. I ask people all that question all the time. I want to be rich, I want to have money. Well, at what point how much is enough? At what point are you comfortable? At what point are you okay without having to worry and make these rash judgments or poor judgments because you feel like you don't have enough? I'll tell you one thing about having money. It's never enough. You have to be comfortable with your situation, no matter what it is at that given time. Because you can make more. I can make $1 million this year. And then next year so far, I don't know, $1 million doesn't go that far. Let's try to make 3 million. You make your 3 million, you're like, oh, it doesn't quite buy me that plane or that helicopter or that boat that I wanted. There's always going to be a bar to push. And I think that's fine. That's fine that people want more and want to continue to grow. But no matter what your situation is, you have to be comfortable in that situation enough that it doesn't cause you to make wrong or bad decisions, but you have to be uncomfortable enough that it makes you want to move forward. Okay. I'm of the belief that no one is superior on this planet. Everyone plays a role. Like I said, some may have more education than others, some may have more money than others, whatever. But I treat everybody and feel that everybody is equal. We're all born into life with the same equality. Maybe not financially, maybe you're born in a different hood or a different neighborhood or whatever than I am. However, it all starts here. Poverty is a mentality.
Yes.
Okay. The same thing with being rich. It's a mentality. All right. There's no reason why one person can succeed and another one doesn't. Outside
There's opportunities.
Your opportunities. Yes. A lot of things are about being in the right place at the right time, but sometimes you're in the right place at the right time and you don't realize it. And that's when the act of discernment becomes very important as well, because you need to be able to recognize it. And as Vincent said, act on it. Right. So even if it doesn't seem obvious, that's where you have to fine tune it to say that this is not an obvious opportunity, but there is something here. And I think sometimes we have to first start with getting rid of the noise. All right. Because if you're unable to think clearly or silence yourself at some point so that you can hear better, then everything just becomes noise. You have your neighbors who are going to want to tell you what to do. You have your parents who are going to want to tell you what to do. You have teachers or whatever. School traditionally does not tell you how to make money.
Exactly.
They educate you on whatever they have in their curriculum that they're supposed to educate you on.
Academic things only.
What is the downfall of the education is that when you begin to limit yourself to what you learned, but it's supposed to open you to learn anything. I always tell people that if you respect me for what I do today, and you think this is all me, you are mistaken, because tomorrow I can learn a new skill and do it. Because the fact that I went to university shows that I am teachable, I can learn, I can apply myself to an effort.
Are you teachable? I love that.
Exactly.
Are you teachable? As a CEO and as a leader, a coach, a mentor, and a lot of you guys do the same thing. Sometimes when you're talking to somebody and you're trying to give them a certain type of view or try to teach them something, and they're insistent on doing things their own way, or how they know it or how they've learned it. And it's very difficult trying to break that mold sometimes, especially dealing in an international business. I hear this all the time. Well, that's not how we do things around here. Well, you don't understand because things are different here. Is what's going on here there for you? Is it working? And that's the first thing you got to look at. Is what you're doing working? Because if it's not, then you need to do something differently.
You try something else.
You have to be able to be teachable. And that sometimes means having to listen to somebody who knows something more about that topic than you do. I don't know everything about everything. I remember one time I got scolded because I was doing a conference, and I made a comment about how I never became a doctor or a nurse because I didn't want to be tied into a job that, one, kept me away from my family for endless hours at a time, because most doctors and nurses work extremely long hours. I said, but I'm also not the type of person who likes to care for sick people. That's not what my gift is. My gift is not being a caretaker. I care how people live. I care that people know that they can make their lives better, but I'm not a nursemaid. I got scolded after the meeting for saying so, because I'm a woman, I'm a mother, I'm a wife, And I said, oh, I'm sorry, you're right. Different culture, maybe different, whatever. But I didn't know I came here to take care of the sick. I thought I came here to teach you how to make money. I don't need to give an impression of something that I'm not. And I think in the act of being discerning, again, not being judgmental, we do need to some degree need to be able to read people, or at least understand where their heart is, or where their head is, or where it is that they're going. And the best way to do that, guys, and this is the way that I do it, I'd be interested to hear from you how you do it. But I let people speak before I say a word. And I watch them very carefully when they do speak. Do they make eye contact? I don't trust anybody who doesn't make eye contact. Sometimes it's a sense of nervousness, but I need to make eye contact and a strong handshake. I know that's very bizarre, but I don't like to shake somebody's hand for them to have a weak handshake, because there's strength that resonates through you. And if you're asking me to do business with you and you can barely shake my hand, I often take that as a bad sign. But there's just certain things that if you just sit quietly and just pay attention to, you start to keen in and learn these different things that you'll start to notice are little threads that are common within people who are successful, people who are not, people who are positive and people who are negative, people who care about you and people who don't. And it all starts with just sitting quietly and listening to people carefully as they speak. And through that, they're always going to show themselves at some point. They're always going to show what's important to them. And that's when you can start to learn how to decipher and see these things in other people that you speak to. It's very important, I think, especially in doing business and being a proper Christian, that you learn to not pass judgment, but to know what the intention is of the person that you're with. And if they're not leading you in the right direction, or they're looking out for their best interest. Yeah, what's wrong with helping myself by helping you?
Most of the people who think about that, Cynthia, is because the academic system, the society where we live right now, thinks the academic is the most important in life and for everybody. Yeah, the most wrong thing what the academic does is to inquire you in between things that if you want to leave from there and then you are wrong, that's the only right thing to do. And then how to break that? I think what the academics should do and ask is not to find and discern opportunities, is to make opportunities also. That's what you are doing. You are opening opportunities for the people. That's the way how we can teach them how to be successful in life.
In creation, is
Yes.
that you have to have a certain level of intelligence or academics or whatever else, and that somehow puts you up on a pedestal. Everybody has a level of academics. So we need to understand that everybody has their own way of learning, right? And as a leader, and if you're going to be successful in any business, you have to understand that people learn differently, and try to key in on how it is that they learn best, so that we can teach them. So turning back to the business aspect of things, all right, what are things to look for and avoid in a proper business? And I'd like for each of you actually to kind of touch on that for just a couple of minutes. What do you look for specifically, and what do you avoid specifically? I know Vincent touched on it a little bit also, but if you guys can be a little bit more specific, I think it would help our listeners quite a bit in at least getting on the right track to being, a very discerning business person.
I think it's very important to look at the systems that are being proposed into a business, systems that are sustainable and that are clear and easy to replicate, so that you can look at potential expansion.
coming from a traditional business that I own, the recycle business, um, some of the things I've looked for when I first started out was, is it a doable business? Is everybody doing it? No. As far as that, is it a business that is sustainable? I look at that, and then how profitable can it be? And the most important part, again, is it hard work? Because believe me, all things is hard, but do I have to work my whole life just to get the business to run?
Boris, what about you?
Yeah, in my experience, I in my life, many times I was following what the others were doing and saw them if that was profitable for them, or and I can do the same thing. And then at the end, I became to think this: why I don't follow what the Bible says? No, I have to follow what God said. You told me the last time about that verse. If you follow to find God, the rest is gonna be itself in you. That's the way we have to do. And God, please come to me and tell me what to do. You know what? He shows you. He shows you. If you are in tune like a radio with God, He tells you exactly what to do. And
It's
the
amazing,
following his steps, you're gonna see how He is doing things.
But there's no way you're going to tell me in this life that we are not taken care of. I'm not saying a $30,000 check is going to drop on everybody's lap, okay? But just having faith, having belief, finding opportunities, and knowing that you're doing things with the intention of, as Boris said, being closer to God. Because we are not put on this planet to fail. He's here to, to bless us and make sure that we're blessed.
He embraced with love. He embraced with love
Exactly.
when
We
you were needing.
are buried in nothing but grace and love.
Yeah.
I do like to listen to people, and I always ask them one question: what do you like about it? Those values aren't in line with my values. It's not the right opportunity for me. Maybe it is for you. And if your values can be in line with mine, I don't even need to hear anything else. After that, I just have to trust in God.
I just want to say, I think God not only give me the opportunity to make a business, He gave me an opportunity to make a testimony about my life. And I can see now why I'm living.
So I want to thank all of you guys for being a part of this today. Next week, we are going to have special guest speaker, Mr. Eddie Petion, COO of Novatech. Yay, who is going to be talking to us about the difference between being an employee and being an entrepreneur. Why do some of us squander while some of us find the way? And he's going to be helping us discuss that next week. So looking very forward to that. Gentlemen, I love you. Have a blessed week.